Have you ever felt that something is holding you back even when nothing ties you down? Something invisible yet present, a force that shapes what you think, what you desire, and even what you believe yourself to be. Erich Fromm called this the fear of freedom. A silent, profound fear that lives inside each of us disguised as routine, comfort, and obedience. We live in a world where everyone claims to want to be free. But the truth is that very few can carry the weight of freedom. To be free means facing the void. It means bearing the burden of choosing your own path and confronting the chaos of the consequences. Most people don't want freedom. They want safety. They want a ready-made script in which error is impossible and pain predictable. They want to follow rules even if the cost is their soul. Fromm said modern man traded real life for the illusion of tranquility. He traded consciousness for distraction, the courage to be for the need to belong. We're surrounded by options that most lead to the same place, a mechanical, standardized, comfortable, and empty existence. We live in a prison built from choices that are not our own. And the scariest part is that we've learned to love it. Expansion, and when we love our prison, we decorated schedules that numb us, habits that look like virtues, identities borrowed from trends. We repeat phrases that are not ours, chase goals we never questioned, and call the exhaustion purpose. The invisible force is not mystical, it is the momentum of unexamined living. Freedom, then, is not found by breaking every rule, but by asking honestly, whose rule is this? Each answer either loosens a chain or tightens it. Freedom frightens because it demands responsibility. And responsibility weighs more than any chain. It's easier to blame the system, society, others than to face the fact that we are accomplices in our own imprisonment. Fromm believed man had become an automaton, a being who works, consumes, and sleeps without ever asking why. He lives on autopilot. He obeys not from fear of punishment, but from fear of thinking. And when thinking hurts, obedience feels easier. Expansion responsibility means authoring your life without a ghostwriter. It means admitting that comfort often camouflages cowardice. When we outsource judgment to trends, bosses, gurus, or algorithms, we lease our minds in exchange for temporary relief. But relief is not freedom. It's a sedative. Autopilot is efficient for machines, not for souls. The moment we reclaim the question, why am I doing this, we interrupt the trance. The pain that follows is the soreness of waking up, not a sign to go back to sleep. Own it. Society teaches you that being free is having money, status, visibility. But that is the trap. You are not free when you have what you want. You are free when you need nothing to feel whole. Think about it. How many times did you stay silent just to avoid rejection? How many times did you follow the crowd knowing it was wrong? How many masks have you worn just to be accepted? This is how the fear of freedom works. It starts small, silence here, omission there, until one day you don't know who you are without the role they wrote for you. Expansion, the marketplace, sells selfhood as a brand kit, aesthetics, slogans, a curated personality. Yet identity is not an outfit, it is a verb. When we calibrate ourselves to applause, we lose the courage to hear our inner voice when it whispers no. Real freedom means tolerating social friction, the awkwardness of difference, the loneliness of choosing integrity over approval. If you can stand that heat, the mask slips off on its own and you finally breathe. Fromm said modern man fears his own mind. He fears looking within and discovering he lived to please, not to exist. He fears facing the mirror and seeing a stranger. And the system loves that. Because the more alienated you are, the easier you are to control. The fear of freedom is the fuel of obedience. And blind obedience is the fuel of domination. But there is a way out. Expansion, alienation isn't only misery. It is profitable. A distracted person buys more, scrolls more, argues more, and reflects less. The exit does not begin with a revolution in the streets, but with a revolution in attention. What do you feed your mind? What do you refuse to feel? Each honest answer cracks the facade. Domination needs your denial to survive. The day you stop denying, the architecture of control begins to wobble. Your clarity is subversive. Freedom is not in the streets. It's not in politics, nor in the economy. It begins in the mind. True liberation happens when you reconnect with what the system tries to make you forget: the capacity to love, to create, to think for yourself. Fromm believed the free person loves authentically, not to possess, but to understand. Works from purpose, not obedience. Creates as expression, not vanity. Expansion, to begin within, is not passivity. It is precision. You cannot aim the world rightly with a broken compass. Authentic love is not sentimental. It is disciplined attention to reality, your own and the others. Purposeful work may look ordinary from outside, but inside it hums with meaning. Creation, when honest, is not a performance for praise. It is the natural overflow of alignment. The mind that remembers these three: love, purpose, expression, becomes difficult to hurt. For Fromm, freedom is not a state, it is an act. An act of courage. Courage to be different. Courage not to hide behind society's masks. Courage to live your own truth even if the whole world condemns you for it. And this courage is born in silence. In the moment you stop and ask, who am I, when no one is watching? If the answer scares you, you're still imprisoned. Expansion silence is a mirror, brutal, exact, and merciful. It returns what we are, not what we perform. Staying there a little longer each day expands your capacity to hold truth without flinching. Courage is not loud, it is consistent. It is the daily refusal to trade integrity for acceptance, depth for speed, presence for spectacle. Each small refusal becomes a brick in the path out. Soon you notice the world didn't collapse, only your illusions did. The human mind fears emptiness, but it is in that emptiness that meaning is born. Only when you lose all imposed certainties can you discover what truly moves you. Fromm believed freedom is inseparable from love, and that to love is the greatest act of rebellion. Because those who love do not dominate, and those who love are not dominated. Expansion emptiness is not a vacuum, it is fertile ground. When borrowed answers fall silent, your authentic questions finally speak. Love, rightly understood, is not control or collapse, it is clarity with warmth. It rebels because it refuses to treat people or yourself as objects. To love is to see, and to see is to free. If you dare remain in that open space long enough, new meaning takes root, not imported, but grown from within. We live in an era where obedience became a virtue and independent thought became a threat. But every empire of submission begins to crumble when one person chooses to think for themselves. You can be that man. You can be that woman. But first you must stop running. Running from yourself. From silence. From the mirror. Expansion, tyrannous, grand, or subtle depend on collective inertia. The refusal of a single conscience can look small, yet it reroutes entire currents. Stopping is the hardest discipline in an age addicted to acceleration. Sit with the mirror. Let the unease arrive, crest, and pass. On the other side of that wave, you will find a steadier self, less bribable, less frightened. That self does not shout, it simply doesn't yield. And that's how empires end. You were born with the capacity to change the world, but the world convinced you it's safer to stay the same. That is how control is maintained, by convincing people that freedom is dangerous and obedience is peace. But peace without truth is anesthesia, and too much anesthesia kills the soul. Expansion safety myths offer shelter at the cost of aliveness. They promise harmony while eroding honesty. Real peace is not the absence of conflict. It is the presence of truth held with courage. When you trade truth for comfort, resentment grows in the dark. To reverse it, Tell one braver truth today, first to yourself, then gently outward. You will feel exposed. Stay. Exposure is the weather of awakening, and your soul needs that sunlight. So, stop. Breathe. Wow. Observe the world around you. How many people do you see truly alive? Few, because most merely exist. Fromm would say the greatest tragedy of modern man is not external oppression, but internal death. The loss of the ability to feel, think, and love deeply. Expansion. Look closely. Hurried faces, restless thumbs, conversations that never quite land. We are overstimulated and undernourished. Depth requires slowness. Feeling requires risk. If numbness has been your armor, bless it, it kept you safe once. Then set it down. Practice one act of unhurried attention to a person, a task, a breath. Depth returns in increments. With it, color returns to the world, and the pulse of real life can be felt again. But there is still time. There is always time as long as there is awareness. Freedom begins when you decide to live with purpose. When you stop being a spectator and become a creator. When you understand there is no system strong enough to imprison a mind that is awake. And when you awaken, nothing is the same. The same routines feel strange. The same voices empty. The same promises weak. Because you begin to see. And those who see do not go back to sleep. Expansion purpose doesn't arrive as thunder. It gathers like dawn. It clarifies as you align action with value, value with truth. Creation is not limited to art. It is any contribution made consciously. An awakened mind is inconvenient to systems designed for passive compliance. It asks real questions and acts on the answers. Expect friction. Accept it as a sign you're alive. Vision widens, and the path emerges where there was only fog. Freedom is a painful process, but it is also the only one that makes you truly human. So do not fear the void. Do not run from pain. They are signs that you are alive. If this message touched something within you, if it made you reflect on the world and on yourself, do not let this reflection die here. Leave your like, comment what this awakened in you, and share it with someone who needs to wake up. And if you want to keep diving into the depths of the human mind, subscribe now to the Society of Mind. Because here we do not speak to those who sleep. We speak to those who are ready to awaken. Expansion pain properly faced is not punishment, it is passage. The void is not absence, it is space for the new. Keep walking. Let today's clarity become tomorrow's habit, and tomorrow's habit become character. If this resonated, anchor it. Write one decision you will make differently this week. Then act. Share this so another flame can catch. Join us and keep your lamp lit. Awakening isn't an event, it's a practice, and your practice begins now.